the crack, folks? Welcome along to episode number 86 of the Gym Advisors podcast. And if you're listening to this, you probably might notice a little bit of difference in the audio. If you're watching this, you'll definitely notice a difference on YouTube, because we are not doing this on Zoom. We're not doing it on any type of software. We're not doing it on the internet. I am in person with today's guest, and today's guest is the one and only Mark Nealon. Mark, how the hell are you?
Not too bad. How are you getting on?
I'm good, man. Thank you very much for having me here in your unreal facility.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Thanks for being here.
People may have seen this before. They'll have seen you seen you on the podcast before, heard you on the podcast before. For anyone who hasn't, can you give us a little bit of an updated resume? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so basically I was a personal trainer working in a commercial gym for a while, and the most recent development is I decided to go out by myself and set up a small private one-to-one personal training gym. So the idea behind the thing here is it's not like you can't just come and go as you please. Every session is booked and it's all personal training. It's not coming in training by yourself. It's specifically for people who want to do personal training. So it's pretty good for people who are beginners, might be a bit nervous, apprehensive about going into a gym. You can come in here, there's no one staring at them, they don't have to worry about doing things wrong. It's just you and a coach, and you can learn how to do everything properly and safely before moving on to a full commercial gym.
It's a great old spot. I'm delighted to come up here. It's up here in Knockmore in County Mayo, not far from me at all. So now you have all these strings to your bow. You're a personal trainer, an online coach, facility owner. What made you want to do the whole, have this physical space for yourself and your clients?
Well, I suppose a better question is probably why wouldn't you want to have your own thing? I mean, I think everyone kind of idealizes the idea of working for themselves, being your own boss, setting your own hours. You get to run things exactly how you want to run things, especially when you work in a commercial gym. You take that job, I imagine, for the most part, because you want to be a personal trainer, but then there's also a lot of cleaning and, sitting at reception and all this kind of stuff, which is fine. It's part of the job. But ideally, I think most people who are in this kind of space want to be doing personal training all day, every day, and not all the other bits and pieces that go along with it. So it's just nice to be able to do exactly what it is, the main part of the job that I enjoy. That's what I get to do all the time, which is, why I kind of got into it. I
look around, and anyone who's watching this on YouTube will be able to see pictures of what you have done here. It's unreal with a small enough space, and it's so it doesn't feel like it's such a. You don't need a massive amount of space. It's like telling a personal trainer, telling a client, you don't need that much equipment at home or whatever like that. You have done something amazing with such a small area. If someone was to want to do this, if they're at that point where they're sick of being told what to do by someone else or whatever it might be, how would you advise them to go about doing what you've done here?
So first things first is, there is a lot of help available to people looking to start their own business, and a lot of people don't realize that, and there's multiple different schemes and different things you can go onto. So the one I went onto myself is called the Back to Work Enterprise Allowance. That's probably the biggest and most helpful one that people can get onto. There's also one called the short-term enterprise allowance. So if anyone wants to look those up, that's what they're called. So first things first is do a bit of research and see if you can get onto those, because they offer you a lot of help and support. There's free courses you can do in business, accounting, all that kind of stuff to help run the day-to-day maintenance of a business, but also, in terms of funding to get yourself off the ground in the first place. So that would be the main thing, is look into those, because they're a lot of help. Other than that, it would just be, I suppose, trying to find an actual space to get it set up. I was very fortunate here. We had this used to be a shed. There's still a load of turf and a lawnmower behind that wall behind us there. But this used to be a shed. I was very fortunate that I don't have to pay rent for a facility. But if you can find somewhere, small, again, you don't need a lot of space. Find somewhere small and cheap if you do have to rent somewhere out, because you can do a lot with a small amount of space. Once you have a squat rack, some bars, some plates, and a set of dumbbells, that's the bare minimum. You can do a lot with just that.
It's unreal. It really, really is. So you're talking about advice in terms of looking for the funding and the support that people need, and put yourself in a position. We preach that all the time in terms of there's help out there, but also professional development in terms of just being able to know it's great to be able to coach a person and be able to bring someone from an amazing journey. But if your numbers aren't matching up when you go to your accountant, it's not going to be a great idea. So you need to be able to do those basic things as well, or at least get the help for it. So is there any do's and don'ts? What mistakes did you make that you'd like to go back and fix?
Yeah. So in terms of do's and don'ts, the main one I'd say is get started on the paperwork and all that stuff early. especially if you're trying to get onto these schemes, there's a lot of different things, and you will be advised, like I was, to do certain things ahead of time. I may have put them off and it came back to bite me in the arse later on, but definitely get ahead on the paperwork and stuff, but also do your own research. You know, I don't know if this happens a whole lot, but it happened to me and also a friend of mine, funnily enough, where we read through the whole terms and conditions, what you need to be applicable for these schemes, and both of us actually got denied at different times, and we kind of read through it, and after reading through it several times, we were pretty sure it was a mistake on the other end, not on our end. So kind of challenged it a few times, didn't get anywhere, was getting a bit frustrating, and then eventually I've realized there is actually a more like official route to take. I was just kind of calling up and speaking to someone saying, I think there's a mistake. Okay. Eventually I found there's an official route you can go to get it challenged, basically. Appealed is the word I was looking for there. So you can get it appealed officially, and once they did that, lo and behold, within a week it came back, yeah, you were right. You were entitled to it the entire time. So,
and how did you find out that you were entitled to it? Because like you say, it took you a wee while. When you rang up, was no one telling you, oh, you need to go this route to appeal this?
So when I rang up, they were just saying, no, you don't apply. That's that. It wasn't the most helpful, to be honest. The reason I was so self-assured that I was entitled to it was because a third friend of mine had actually gone through this process already, and I knew that we had gone through the exact same situation, the exact same steps. We were in the exact same position. So it didn't make any sense that one was getting and the other wasn't. So after that, all the information is online. You can read through everything you need to have an order to be applicable for this. And I knew I checked all the boxes, so I knew there was something wrong on the other end. But basically, do your own research. Don't just take what the person on the other end of the phone is saying at face value. Do your own bit of research, and don't be afraid to kind of push for it and maybe fight for it if you feel the need, because it happened to me and someone else. We were told no, and turns out the entire time we were entitled to get onto these schemes. It's
such a shame, particularly when you look at it from the point of view of you're trying to set up a business and it's someone on the other side of the phone who's just doing their 9 to 5, and fair enough, they just maybe don't want to do that extra few steps and go above and beyond, or whatever you want to call it. But like, many people would run into that problem like that you had, and if they don't appeal it, they don't challenge it, that's their career that's going to struggle. That's the potential clients that they could have had who would have helped their lives. Like there's genuinely, and this is, I try not to get melodramatic on here, but like that's genuinely like there's life-changing ramifications just by some person not deciding, oh, I'm not going to tell this person he can appeal, or whatever way it might be, you know. So I'm delighted that you pushed through and got here, because like I said, we're sitting here, there's pictures circulating on the video right now, I'm sure, and it's just a class facility that you have, and it's perfect for getting you off the ground and getting you started and whatever else. One thing that you talked about as well, as we were just getting set up here to record, was your relationship with a resource centre that has a gym down the road. In the world of fitness, particularly before COVID maybe, we were very much of the opinion that gyms or facilities near to each other, personal trainers who were near to each other, that they might kind of hide their homework. They were nearly fighting each other for every single client, and they were never working together. Tell me a little bit about your relationship with the resource centre down the road.
Yeah, so long before, back in 2019 actually, long before I ever planned on opening up my own facility here, I was still working in the commercial gym. Actually, before I started working in a commercial gym, when I was still working in Specsavers, actually, was the job I had at the time, I decided that I wanted to get more into the health and fitness scene. So I started running my own boot camp in the local resource centre in Knockmore. So they have a gym, and they also have a big hall upstairs. So I just bought a load of kettlebells, resistance bands, all the basic stuff. And I started running a boot camp and some weekly classes in the resource centre. And fast forward now, a couple of years, and I have my own place here. Because they're just a resource centre in quite a rural area, they have the gym, but they don't actually have a personal trainer. I don't know if they have any fitness instructors in general. So I got in touch with them recently, and it'd be very easy to fall into the mistake of thinking, that's a gym, I'm a gym, we're in competition, sort of thing. But it couldn't be further from the truth. We can actually help each other quite a bit, because I have some clients who will go for more of like a premium package here. Every single training session they do, they could be here 3 or 4 times a week being coached through a one-to-one session. There's other people who don't need quite as much support, so they might come to me once a week and then train by themselves in a commercial gym. So with that in mind, we're in the process of trying to like team up to a degree. So like if I have people coming to me, they don't want to do my premium package, they just want to go for like one session with me and they need somewhere else to train, I can send them down the road, and vice versa. If someone goes to the resource centre, there's no personal trainer there, they can come up here, I can coach them, but they can use the facility down the road to get the sessions in during the week and just get the nutrition, the coaching and the plan from me, but then execute it elsewhere.
It's unreal, and it's such a good example for the rest of the industry to just be looking at it going, we're not necessarily everyone. That's particularly with COVID and with online coaches and everything like that. Our market has grown so much like that we're not necessarily in competition with every personal trainer, every other person in the industry, and completely and utterly contrary to that. Working together can actually make us better and make our offering to the clients, to the regular public, way better. And that's kind of the what we're preaching at the Gym Advisors, particularly with our new community and all that sort of stuff, making sure that we get really good fitness professionals, people who own fitness facilities together, and making sure that we are working together and making ourselves a bit better and making the industry a little bit healthier, you know. So one thing that we talked about on your last appearance on the podcast was, I think we just touched on it, and a little bit was a back injury that you had.
Oh yeah.
Let's go right back here. How did it happen?
To cut a long story short, to give you the condensed version for this, I was only about 15 or 16 years old, and long story short, I was in the house. I bent over to pick something up. I had this shooting pain across my lower back, down into both my legs. The power actually went from my legs completely. I collapsed on the floor, face first, and was lying there for about 2 hours. If I so much as moved my baby toe, the pain would shoot up my leg into my back, and it was agony. And I was upstairs as well, so I needed to get downstairs because my bedroom was downstairs. So I was lying on the floor upstairs for a couple of hours. Eventually, we're like, right, this isn't getting any better. So my parents called a doctor to come out, who had to administer a muscle relaxant via injection into my glute, which was very pleasant to have done. So that kind of relaxed the muscles, which were in spasm at the time. And I got up and I went on about my business. But then for the next, I'd say like 6 or 7 years, I could have random incidents. It would seem very, very sporadic and random. I might get a little bit of a warning sign where I get like a little bit of a tingle in the back, and I knew, right, if I go to pick up my school bag even, my legs might go. And this happened. There were about 3 or 4 incidents where the power went completely from my legs and I fell. That happened about 3 or 4 times. And I'd be in the gym trying to strengthen up and trying to fix this sort of thing, and I get so far and then I'd hurt myself and I'd be taken out of it. I'd lose any progress I made and I'd be out of the gym. I'd be fearful of going back, as most people are with a back injury anyway. But especially when you're that age, you don't expect to be dealing with back pain when you're 15, 16, 17 years old. It's not something you should have to be dealing with.
No.
So that's what got me so interested in the athletic therapy. That's what I did in college. It's what I got my degree in. And I still do that here. I actually run an injury clinic out of the gym. I focus more so on the personal training, but I do bring in the athletic therapy to it as well. So that's how I got into that. And through my time studying athletic therapy and going on work experience especially, I learned a lot about the, it's called biopsychosocial pain, which is a big fancy name for, it's difficult to get across to people without, you have to be very careful in the way you explain it, because it might come across as if you're saying, oh, it's all in your head. And it's not a real thing. You have to be very careful in the way you explain it. But the way it works is pain is created in the brain. When we touch something hot, for example, the heat triggers the neurons in your hand. They travel to the spine, up to the brain. Your brain interprets the information, goes, crap, that's hot, let go, and you flinch or you pull away. That's how it works. But there can be instances where if you become very fearful of pain, it happens all the time with lower back pain, your nervous system can be kind of heightened, and your brain is then reacting to things that it doesn't need to react to. One analogy I've heard is it's like burning a piece of toast in the house, and instead of the fire alarm going off, you're calling the fire brigade every time, panic stations all the time. So the nervous system is ramped up, it's really agitated, and the slightest thing that shouldn't cause pain does cause pain, because it is the way that your brain interprets it. So a lot of way of dealing with that is very, very slowly, easing back into exercise, not trying to jump straight back into it. A lot of deep breathing exercises are hugely important. A lot of, when you're in a physio clinic, one thing I found interesting was listening to the way that they described this. They'd have someone lie down on the back with the knees bent, one hand on the stomach and one hand on the chest. And they'd ask them to breathe deeply into the diaphragm. Like when you watch children breathe, you see their stomach moving. And at some stage, as we get older, everyone stops breathing deep into the stomach and we all start breathing into our chest. When you have a panic attack or you start hyperventilating, it's your chest that's moving. When you're calm and you're breathing deeply, it's your stomach that moves. When you breathe into your stomach, you're breathing into the diaphragm. And when you do that, it has a very relaxing effect on the entire nervous system. So one of the main things for back injuries, if it does have that psychological element, is trying to get the person to just relax, to dampen down the nervous system again, to have the body in a state where it knows it's not in fight or flight all the time, that it's okay to relax, that you're not in danger, you're not going to hurt yourself. So they'd have them doing these deep breathing exercises, and listen to the way they'd explained it. They explain it as you're dampening down the nervous system so it's less excited, it's not going to go off so quickly, which reduces pain. But then they also went on to explain, like, some people call this diaphragmatic breathing, others call it meditation or mindfulness. It's the same practice, just looking at it through a slightly different lens. So a lot of people wouldn't think that mindfulness or meditation could help with these sorts of things. When you hear a physio explain it, it's diaphragmatic breathing to dampen down the nervous system. But it's the same thing, just explained in different ways. So it's very interesting to kind of see it from that perspective as well. So yeah, basically with the back injury, it's an ongoing thing. I definitely had some amount of, fear behind the back injury. So working on the deep breathing, easing into these exercises, slowly increasing weights at a very steady pace to get myself comfortable with knowing, okay, I can lift this. This was fine. I wasn't in pain. And at the end of a session during the cool down, doing some of that deep breathing to help just release any tension that is there in the nervous system as well. So it's all bringing in all kind of aspects of it. The psychological and the physical has to come together to treat a lot of these injuries.
And I know one thing that you've had struggles with over the past is when you go into a physio or like a clinical professional or whatever like that, have you ever had problems with them kind of, one of the things you said at the start there was you have to be careful when explaining it. Have you ever had people basically say to you that it's in your head?
I haven't had that, but what I have had is not so much myself, but more so patients I've had come into the clinic and I've been treating, and then they've told me about people they've been to previously. And there's a couple of red flags that you see quite consistently, and they're probably worth pointing out now, actually. So if you do have an injury yourself, the main thing is you need to get the appropriate help. If you've injured yourself, the worst thing you can do is take 2 weeks off in the gym and think it's going to go away. Because if you stop exercising, stop moving altogether, everything's going to stiffen up, everything's going to kind of tighten up, seize up. You need to keep moving as much as you can. So one phrase that I've heard a few times is train what you can train while fixing what you can fix. Okay, so if you stop going to gym completely, everything's going to seize up. You're not going to do any good. You need to keep moving, because if you stop moving completely, you're just kind of feeding into this fear, like, I can't do anything. I've hurt myself. Everything has to stop. Put everything on a halt. When in reality, there's always a way to work around it. You can always keep doing something. One, just keep some form of training up for your general health, your mental health, all of that. If you stop completely, it's not going to do you any good whatsoever.
So, like, just as you're saying there, like, have you have you struggled with, or have you had people who would struggle with that? You might get a call and go, I was training last night and I've put out my back, or I've pulled my calf or whatever, and people are like, that's me done for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever, I'm cancelling all my sessions. Have you encountered that with clients?
Yeah, so one major one is I had a client who came to me for personal training to lose weight, but also had been struggling with back pain, severe back pain, for years and years and years. And thankfully, with my background in the athletic therapy, I could pretty quickly figure out it was mainly down to a weakness in the lower back and the glutes. So a lot of people with lower back pain always have a fear of leaning forward, like bending over to touch your toes, picking something off the ground. So what we needed to work on was, when we started off, I tried to get him to do a kettlebell RDL. If anyone doesn't know what an RDL is, a Romanian deadlift, it basically involves tilting forward, leaning forward, and standing back up again. A movement that a lot of people are quite fearful of, but when done with the proper mechanics and form and technique, perfectly safe. And this person who's coming to me was a big guy, like big, strong guy, and he was so apprehensive and nervous. He tried a few reps with the 12 kg kettlebell, and he said, no, I can't do anymore. Nothing had really happened, but you could tell he had a bit of a twinge in the back or something. He wasn't comfortable doing it. He was very nervous. 12 kg kettlebell, stopped. Fast forward then 6 months, I had him doing barbell RDLs with about 40 kg.
Oh, God.
Fast forward another 6 months, we were deadlifting 100 kg plus and RDLing 80, 85 kg.
Am I right in assuming then that it probably took longer for him to get from the 12 kg to 16 kg than it would have taken to get 40 to 80?
Exactly, yeah. Just getting over that initial hurdle of, this is dangerous, I can't do it. Once he did a few, then the mindset completely changed. It was very apprehensive at the beginning, and then it totally flipped to, this is great, I can lift these heavy weights. His main goal switched from, as he had lost more weight and that wasn't as much of an issue anymore, his main goal switched from weight loss and fixing the back pain to let's get as strong as possible. Let's just get strong. Yeah. So the deadlifts went up and up and up, and so did the RDLs, and yeah, he's been flying ever since.
Like I think about this in every single podcast that I do, and it's literally that fitness is like walking in a door and it's a cupboard, and the cupboard is your first goal, which is like weight loss, fat loss, working around your back pain, limiting that, and then once that little bit has been achieved, you're open the door then turned into a fucking warehouse. Yeah. And it's like these are all the things that I can do. I can get strong, I can do everything else. I just love the idea of fitness because it's getting someone in the door and then just seeing where they can go, because it's just the possibilities are endless, you know. And that's kind of, again, much like earlier on when I was talking about changing lives and stuff like that. It's a cliche and it sounds airy-fairy and all that sort of stuff, but it's so true. Like, we can do so much with this industry, and it's so good to see when someone like that comes into you with a bit of back pain and that's all they want to do is be pain-free, and then they turn around and they're trying to get as strong as possible and hitting stupid numbers. It's class. Yeah. So with your own injury, like with back pain, with the back pain, it's mad that it's still 12 years later, thereabouts.
Thereabouts. Yeah.
How is it still made known? Like, obviously you know what you're talking about. You've been through your athletic therapy. You've been a coach yourself. You've seen other people improve so much. Are you still having those kind of fears every now and then? Are you still having regressions? What's happening with you?
Yeah. So at the moment, I'm in a better place now than I have been in the past, and it's really been, despite doing the athletic therapy course in college and getting that degree and working in that for a while, there's still a lot of stuff you have to figure out. And there's many times where I've had these moments where I've been doing very basic kind of rehab and things, and I've been apprehensive to go to the next step. And as soon as I do, I make improvements. And it's kind of sitting there going, if someone came into the clinic in the exact same position as me, I would have progressed them on long ago.
Yeah, okay.
But even though I have the knowledge myself, when I'm dealing with myself, I was apprehensive and I was holding myself back. With the whole movement as medicine thing, like I said, if you get an injury and you come out the gym completely, you need to train what you can train while trying to fix what you can fix. Keep moving, otherwise you're going to feed into that fearfulness of the injury. So one big thing for me is walking. And for most people with back pain, I have to walk every day. Now, I can miss a few days here and there sort of thing, but if I was to go like 2 weeks without walking, I'd wake up in the morning and my back would be stiff. I need to keep regular walking as well as my strength training as well. So it's strength training in the gym in a very controlled manner to build up the strength of the surrounding hips, lower back, everything that feeds into each other, because your hips and your back and all that stuff like to work together. So it's strengthening that up in the gym, lifting heavy weights, doing heavy deadlifts, heavy back squats, things that most people could be scared of doing. You need to get those strong while also focusing on deep breathing and stuff, as spoken earlier, to stop the nervous system from being too ramped up and basically panicking when there's no need to panic. But also daily walking is a big one, just to keep everything loose and relaxed and just walking, just moving. Yeah. Movement is medicine. You hear it all the time. It's just important to keep moving. Yeah,
consistency and just doing that little bit every day, and then obviously being a little bit strategic about it with a coach or with a physio or whatever. But speaking of a physio, actually, and clinical professionals and all that sort of stuff, you've obviously had some issues, and you talked a little bit about red flags before. If someone was in a position now where they've just hurt their back, or they're sick of constantly hurting their back every now and then, how would you... Like, we have the gym advisors, right? And the gym advisor is great because it helps you find personal trainers, coaches, online coaches, gyms, all that sort of stuff. But we haven't moved into an area of clinical professionals. How would you advise someone to, like, who's looking for a fix for their back pain or whatever, aside from the personal trainers and side of things? How would you recommend that they go and find a physio?
Yeah, so there's a few different notes here, and the two main ones are, one, like I said, you need to go and find someone in the first place. Look at reviews, all that kind of basic stuff to try and find someone who's been around for a while, seems to know what they're doing. Once you get there, there's a couple of things you can look out for. And one of the biggest red flags and most annoying things I see, it wrecks my head, is the person who sometimes they're not even really qualified. They might be passing themselves off as a physio or an athletic therapist, and really they're just a masseuse. Now, don't get me wrong, massages, it's an excellent thing. It's great for recovery after sessions, but it's not going to fix an injury. If you are injured, it has its place. It can help relax the muscles in the short term, and it can be a short-term way of easing the pain and helping you. But if you're not getting some form of rehab, not getting some form of exercises to do at home, that's a massive red flag. The therapist who brings you back week after week, who just says, you need to get massage every week to loosen this out, massive red flag. That is a short-term fix. What's going to fix you long-term is being given a specific rehab program that you go off, do at home to prevent this from coming back again. You shouldn't need weekly massages. Again, if you go to a masseuse every now and again to, you train hard, you want to get, just things are tight, you want to get loosened out, just relax. By all means, it's excellent for that. It's great for recovery. It's great for short-term dealing with pain. But if someone is bringing you back over and over again for massage after massage, or just loads of dry needling or electrotherapy or all this kind of stuff, but they're not giving you anything to do at home, chances are they're just looking to get money out of you. The way I do it is, if at all possible, I want to see you once or twice and never again. Not in a bad way, but in the sense that if I don't see you again because you've got better at home doing your rehab, that's great. I don't want to bring people back over and over again. If at all possible, I want to see you once or twice, get you fixed, and you're on your way, because you can maintain this at home with your rehab and your exercises.
So be wary of anyone offering come for 9 sessions and get a 10th free. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, it's a bit of a red flag. Yeah. And then on the other side of things is just, you have people who will go to a physio or an athletic therapist. They'll do 1 or 2 sessions, because again, some injuries are more complicated than others. It's going to take several sessions. But again, if they're bringing you in, they do a bit of treatment, but they're also giving you rehab to do at home, it's fine. There are people who will go to someone, do 1 or 2 sessions, don't see much progress, hop on to the next person. They go from a physio to a chiropractor to whatever else, one after the next after the next. You need to give it a fair shot as well. So it's about finding someone who isn't just bringing in for treatment, who is actually doing both, giving you treatment, but also giving you rehab to do at home, but then also give it a bit of time. Don't, after 2 weeks of no results, hop on to the next person, because some injuries are complicated and they can take a bit of time to figure out. So stay with them long enough to give it a decent shot, but just be aware of, if they're only doing treatment and there's no rehab prescribed for at home, then you might want to move on in that case.
Yeah, it's the same as fitness industry. It's insane how we program hoppers is kind of a term people use, and they're just going jumping from one thing to the next, and they're looking for the next successful thing. In reality, any of those things would have worked had you given them the time. It's just that none of them are going to work within 2 weeks.
Yeah,
it's kind of the crack, So Mark, the only other thing left to do then is to add 3 songs to the Gym Advisors playlist on Spotify. Do you remember your 3 songs?
I remember the artist. I know one was my grandson.
On,
probably.
I have them written down.
That'll do. Blood in the Water by Grandson. I Am Defiant by The Siege. And Clouds by NF. Bit of a mix of genres there, but no, they show up in my playlist all the time, always on repeat. And talk
to me. Is there anything that links them, or is it just that they're quality songs that really
just
get
quality
you
songs? To be honest, one of them, I Am Defiant, that I heard that first. Appropriately enough, I was watching a fitness YouTuber, and they just had it was just a workout reel, and this song was playing in the background, just real get me fucking hyped up kind of song. So that's class. That's going straight into my playlist. And the other 2 kind of similar enough, just kind of Blood in the Water, Grandson, not like heavy metal or anything, but a bit of a heavier kind of mix of genres together, just get you pumped kind of songs, ready to lift heavy weights. I do find if one of them songs is on and I'm coming towards the end of a set, the end of an exercise, we're on the 4th set, really tired, and I'm kind of probably prolonging the rest a little bit longer than it needs to, but one of these songs come on and the beat's about to drop, I'm nope, straight in, let's go. I'm no waiting around, I'll jump straight in and start repping out. Yeah.
Absolutely love it. And I suppose the last thing then to do is, I lied to people and I said one last thing to do is to give you a bit of a plug. thegymadvisors.e/MNPT is your own personal profile, and then obviously this facility here has a new one, which is thegymadvisors.e/MNPT gym. Anyone who's watching on YouTube can work out those letters that I'm pronouncing. But where else can people find you on social media and all that jazz?
Yeah, so on social media, 2 main ones being Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. They're all under MNPT. If that doesn't come up, you can just search Mark Nealon Personal Training, and they should find me on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook just by searching them. And
unreal, one of the things that you did very well on social media was showing off the actual creation of the facility. So if people want to go back and seek that out, to be able to see how the sausage was made.
Yeah,
is one way of putting it. So that's the only last thing then is the discount for the equipment store. Do you remember your discount code?
Yeah, I think it's MNPT10.
Good. And if you didn't know, it was written right in front of you.
Okay.
But look, Mark, this has been great. Thank you very much for inviting me up here. This is a lovely facility. You are going to be flying it. I can't wait to see what you do with it in the next few years.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure having you down.
Yeah, we'll do it again. To the rest of you though, as I turn to the camera as if I'm a professional at this, to the rest of you though, as always, hasta la fitness, baby.